Hello YouTube, Darth Bob here. This is the introduction video for my channel that's going to be dedicated to Warhammer 40k as a hobby, a game, and an interest as a whole. There's also going to be stuff with other role-playing games, other war games and stuff like that. So really it's going to be dedicated to the wargaming hobby as a whole, but since my main interest in the wargaming hobby is Warhammer 40k, there's going to be a lot of devotion to that as a subject matter. So today I just wanted to give you guys a little sneak peek at the current project that I'm working on, which is my Alpha Legion. Now, for those who don't know, which is probably most of you, I have a severe case of Army ADHD. What I mean by that is it's hard for me to kind of commit to one army, whether it be building, painting, anything. I kind of switch around between different armies a lot, and I think I finally settled on this one, and I'll tell you why. Because I read Legion, I read a lot of Alpha Legion stuff, and I just fell in love with their background. I love their kind of their overarching themes. I find very interesting: the espionage, the secrecy, the we don't really know a lot of definitive information about them. Their kind of nebulous nature is really interesting to me, and I think this is an interest that could hold my attention so that I don't switch over to another army. I also think that this army is going to help that some because it's going to give me an opportunity to do things like Space Marines, Cultists, Adeptus Mechanicus, or Dark Mechanicus. Which one is it? I don't know. Demons. I'm maybe even thinking about some Xenos, since the Alpha Legion have been affiliated with Xenos before. I've been looking for an opportunity to do some Orc mercenaries, so that might happen in the future. But for now, these are all the models that I've got done so far. Just so you know, the philosophy behind this army is that I don't want this to be an army built to specifications. Like, there's no, set goal for this army. It's basically just I'm buying models that I really like, that I really think would fit in my force, models that I think look cool, and stuff like that, and just kind of painting up and modeling an army that I can put my heart and soul into and put a lot of love into it. So you may see a lot of models that are maybe 5-point models that I put like hours of conversion work into, models that may not have codex legal armaments but look cool, because I'm not really wanting to hold myself to that kind of stricture with this army. So without further ado, let me just show you guys some of the stuff in this army, at least the stuff that I have done so far. So let's start biggest and go down to smallest. So first up, sorry about the shaky cam, I'm trying to do this with one hand with a cell phone, so it's not exactly the easiest thing in the world. This is my Dreadnought. It's from Forge World. I really like the way this model looks. He doesn't have his arms or his head glued in yet. I want to leave them off for painting. This model actually had a lot of problems with the cast. I sanded some stuff down, green stuffed some gaps, and some ugly resin bubbles, and I think it looks okay. It should look good when it's painted up. But I really like this model. I think he's going to look really cool. I gave him a ruined pillar from Secret Weapon Miniatures. I'm giving all of my Alpha Legion and their affiliated subsidiaries urban rubble basing. So I think that'll look really cool. He is going to be armed with an autocannon and a missile launcher. So then we got some Cataphractii Terminators. Got 4 of them assembled so far. I think I have 10 total. So I got 6 unassembled guys. Trying to figure out what I want to arm them with and get that to focus. There we go. So yeah, this guy's got just a combi bolter and a power sword. The rocks and the etched brass piece of sheet metal with the bullet holes, that's from the GW Urban Basing Kit. It's a little expensive, but it's actually a really useful kit. and there's a little bits of it distributed throughout the army. We got this guy. This is kind of an anti-armor dude. I gave him a combi melta and a chain fist, and he's got a little piece of sheet metal on the bottom that I shoved a soldering iron through, and I think you can't really tell in the video, but it's kind of giving it a melted metal look. And I think I'm going to try to paint it up so it looks like it's still hot. So that looks pretty cool. I haven't done really much conversion work with these guys. You'll see more conversion work when I get to the smaller guys. I think these models are phenomenal, so I kind of wanted them to speak for themselves. So I've kind of strayed away from doing conversion work on these guys. This is like the heavy weapons guy of the team. He's got an autocannon. That green stuff on the autocannon on the back of his tabard, that's just from casting issues. I really like the way this street on his base came out. I think that looks pretty cool. And then over here, got my favorite of the bunch, the Sergeant, with his lightning claws. I really like the way he turned out. Really like his posing and the way the grenade launcher looks. The head is the only non-cataphracti bit on him. The head is a Berserker Vampire Fang head, which is an incredibly ugly head, but when you saw off the Vampire Fangs and just kind of sand it up to the nose and shove that in the cataphracti, it actually looks pretty cool and gives him really nice grimace, I think. So he's very cool. And that resin piece on the base, that's also from the Urban Basing kit. Should look really nice painted up. Moving on to our 25mm based Marines. First up we got this guy with the Dark Angels hood helmet. I gave them the Dark Elf Corsair capes that I sanded down and glued onto the back, then glued the backpack on. The more recent ones, as in the ones that like I did most recently, the green stuffing from the cape to the body and the backpack to the cape is a lot smoother. This is one of the more recent ones, so it's pretty smooth. Some of the older ones that, like the first ones that I did, the green stuffing is a little rougher. It'll look fine when it's painted up. It's not like atrocious or anything, but there's definitely a little bit of a discrepancy in overall quality between the first figs I did and the most recent, but I think I've perfected how to do it now. So this guy's got a plasma gun when he's holding it. I'm not gluing in all their guns if they've got guns across their chest because I want it to be easy to get to paint. Really like this guy. Really like the way his helmet turned out. I sanded the horns off one of the champion helmets on the Chaos Space Marine sprues. I also have given them these metal Alpha Legion shoulder pads. I think they're out of production, but I'm not sure because they're still for sale on the GW site. I really like these pads, even if they're not super popular among a lot of people I found, but I think they're cool because they have like a single head of the Hydra, and I think that really actually fits with the philosophy of the Alpha Legion. Because rather than having 3 heads of the Hydra on their shoulder pads, they have 1, and that kind of shows how like each individual Space Marine of the Alpha Legion is carrying 1 head of the Hydra, meaning they're 1 part of a greater whole. So that's just my silly philosophical reason for why they wear those particular shoulder pads. I like how this guy turned out. He's got more heavy-handed loyalist bits than chaos bits, but I've kind of balanced it with all of them. I gave him more of a resting pose with the Auspex. So I'm going to try my hand at some freehand work on the Auspex screen, but I really like the way he looks. And then, of course, you have to have at least one beaky Marine, and there'll be more than one beaky, I promise. But yeah, he's got a little like an I-beam, little piece of an I-beam on his base. A friend of mine said that these I-beams are probably too small a scale, and he might be right, but I think they look pretty cool for urban basing. I really like this guy's pose a lot too. I just love these cloaks. I think they're really, really cool looking. Little pricey to do them on all the 25 millimeter, but Marines, but I think it's worth it for the cool effect that you get. Then moving on, we got the Cultists. I got like 100 or so of these Dark Vengeance Cultists, and I'm trying to convert them and add green stuff scales on them to kind of differentiate them from the identical models a bit, because most of them are assembled, so I'm going to have to do some head swaps, weapon swaps, add green stuff onto them to kind of make them look different. And I'll also be able to differentiate them with the paint jobs. Funny thing about this fig, I think he kind of looks like Willem Dafoe. We got this guy. He's got one of the collars from the Dark Elf Corsairs that came off the capes that I used on the Marines. I didn't really like the way the collars were looking on the Marines when I tried it, so I decided, why not try it on the Cultists instead of letting them go to waste. I might switch out his weapon for a sword or like a machete, like something crude, not like a formal sword, I guess. This guy's formal name is Shiv, but I've kind of taken to calling him Baraka, because I took off the flail hand and gave him like this crude blade fist. And I really, really love the way that turned out. Oh, it unfocused. Shoot. Also gave him a come on, like a extra goggle. And of course, they all have some green stuff scales on them. Some more than others. This guy, flamethrower guy, he's also got one of the collars, green stuff scale, gauntlet, and skull and chain. Really like the way this guy's basing turned out with the pipe sticking out. The hood's pretty cool. Second attempt at doing a hood on one of these guys. The first attempt actually was better, and I've been trying hard to replicate it, but it's proved difficult. That was my attempt to replicate it, so I'm going to keep trying to do it. This is one of the better ones I think I did. I really think the scale work on this guy turned out really good, and I think I did a pretty good job giving him a second goggle so he doesn't have like one goggle piece. It looks a little rough in the green, but when it's painted it should look pretty cool. This guy doesn't have a lot of conversion work, just a lot of the scales, but it's an effective look, I think. This guy also doesn't have, oops, almost dropped him. I did drop him. But this guy doesn't have a ton of conversion work either, except I switched out his hand for auto pistol hand, but that was only because I dropped him and he landed on his claws and the claws got all bent up. But I actually think the auto pistol makes him look a little more dynamic. He's got the scales. Pretty cool. This guy I'm not quite happy with. I took the little wiring off the side of his head, and now I think the head looks awkward, so I'm probably going to head swap him or add a hood or something, because the head right now it just sticks out like a sore thumb, I think. I'm also, out of all the cultists, this is probably my least favorite. I really don't like the pose on this guy. It's very static, but I've got like 10 of them, so I gotta learn to make it work. This was my first attempt at a hood, and I think you'll agree, a much better job. See under his hood. Got kind of a Nazgul thing going on. I think that looks really cool, really creepy. But just the folds on the back of the hood I think turned out really well. And that was actually just by like, I laid down the hood and then I just pulled it down and kind of glued the edges down so they didn't pop off. But the stretching actually gave really convincing looking like fabric wrinkles. I think at least. And this guy is the last guy. This is my favorite though. Lovingly called Mini Stubber, because he's got a like a sawn-off shotgun, except it's a sawn-off heavy stubber. This was done by the guy who sold these cultists to me, and I love the conversion. I might try it on the flamer. Not that particular flamer, but on another one of them, just to differentiate him a little more. And I gave him one of the collars and a scaly shoulder pad, which is actually a slightly green stuffed bit from the Lizardmen range from Fantasy. So that is all I've got done so far. Lots more to come. If you're interested, check out my blog on dakadaka.com. I'll post a link in the description, and be sure to subscribe to my channel for more updates. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hydra Dominatus. Goodbye.